All right, David, if you want to get started.
Sure, Patty. Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is David Murphy. I'm here at the University of Notre Dame. I serve in the capacity as Assistant Provost and in the Office of Innovation and what we call our Idea Center here at Notre Dame. I also serve as Executive Director, overseeing all of our student entrepreneurship activities here on campus, including a graduate program that's called Esteem that we'll touch on a little bit later in the presentation. But great to be with you all tonight. We're just going to do really quick intros real fast, and then we'll have a few comments and get into a presentation, leaving plenty of time for lots of questions to come from you. So I'll turn it back over to you, Patty.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patty Reinhardt. I'm the Director of Student Engagement, Competitions, and Events. I've been at the university for 19 years, 12 of that is which I've been working in entrepreneurship. Alan, why don't you go?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, my mute was like not working there. Hi, I'm Alan. I'm a freshman at Notre Dame from just outside Dublin, Ireland. It's a small town you've probably never heard of. I'm an Idea Center fellow here at Notre Dame as well, which is the undergrad entrepreneurship course. And I guess that's why I'm here to talk to you today. So I'll pass over to Jeannie.
Hi guys, I'm Jeannie. I'm also a freshman. I am also in the program with Alan, and I am majoring in business analytics and minoring in social entrepreneurship and innovation. And on campus, I'm live in Johnson Family Hall. I'm from Southern California.
Great, Jeannie. Thank you. And thank you, Alan, as well. Again, you'll hear more from Alan and Jeannie as current students here in a little bit. Just to kick us off, I wanted maybe just to give a quick overview of what is the Idea Center, and really more importantly, what's really happening with Notre Dame with regard to innovation and startups and in this world of commercializing research and so forth. So we're going to talk about the Idea Center. The best way to think about the Idea Center, and Patty has it up on the screen here, is kind of think of it as the one-stop shop for everything to do with innovation, entrepreneurship, startups, the commercialization of research here at the University of Notre Dame. That includes engaging with faculty around scientific discoveries that might have us patent those inventions and discoveries, and then figure out again how to spin them out into commercial operations. So we also have a very dynamic and very robust student presence where we want any student on campus, whether you're a freshman all the way up to PhD students, master's students in various programs, from any college, from any major, doesn't matter. We want to engage with you around innovation and startups and hear your ideas and see what we can do to move those ideas to the market. So as Patty said in her title, engagement. So Patty, think of Patty a lot of times as kind of the front door into the Idea Center. So if you are coming to Notre Dame, and we certainly hope you are, that if you have an idea and you want to figure out sort of where do I go, where's the first place to start, how could I raise money around it, how could I form a team around it, we want you to come engage with us at the Idea Center. We view entrepreneurship and innovation as totally consistent and very, very important part of our overall vision and mission for the University of Notre Dame. You've all heard this or read it, that the mission of Notre Dame, of course, from Father Sorin going back to 1842, is for the university to be a powerful force for good in the world. And we think that when we look at innovation and we look at startups, we think we do have the ability to change the world through these new products, new services, new apps, whatever's coming to market. So whatever your idea is, whether you think it's more of strictly commercial, if you have an idea that, for example, it could end up being in a nonprofit situation or a social enterprise, social entrepreneurship. You heard Jeannie mention that she's studying social entrepreneurship. Many of our students are, and many of our students are kind of coming to us with, hey, I don't know exactly what my startup would be, but here's a problem I want to solve. Like my head is wrapped around this particular problem. I feel like we could do something here. I feel like I could get a team of students to join me in figuring out if we could start a commercial operation to address this problem. So again, don't even ever think that you can only come over to the Idea Center if you've got this incredible startup that's you've been working on and so forth, and it's pretty well sort of advanced. Just the contrary, we want to have you come over and talk to us and engage with us when you're just really ready to talk about the problem that you'd like to solve. And I think that's where a lot of the early innovation and early ideation will happen. So again, just think of the Idea Center as that front door to a sort of endless possibility of engagement with the Idea Center. You're going to hear more tonight about some of the programs like the Idea Center Fellows to actually, which we actually want to appeal to those of you that know that's what you want to do, and you sort of compete to be in a group of sort of the best of entrepreneurs that are coming through the front door of the university. And again, you'll hear more about that later. But thank you for being with us tonight. I'm going to turn it over to Patty, who is going to kind of walk through the presentation. And then, like I said, we'll hear from Alan and Jeannie in a little bit. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, David. So again, welcome, guys. I'm so excited that you took interest in learning about what entrepreneurship looks like here on campus. Do know that you are free to use the question and answer box to type in any questions that you have. We will save those to the end of the presentation, and then between the four of us, we will try to answer those for you. So one of the first questions we always get about the Idea Center, is it really a place for me? And so what I like to tell students is that we look for two different kinds of students. One are those students who have those ideas, that know what they want to do. They have thought about it throughout their high school career. They may have even started to do things with it prior to coming to Notre Dame. And we can really help those people who consider themselves to be an entrepreneur, who want to take their idea anywhere from ideation all the way to launch. And we have many resources to help you do that. And I will walk you through some of those tonight. And secondly, we want to work with students who want to use their experience, their expertise, things that they might be learning in the classroom to be able to help other startups move their ideas forward. So oftentimes entrepreneurs come to us and they say, I have the best idea for this next best thing. However, that's all they have is the idea, and they don't have their own skills and expertise to move that idea forward. And we help to create really robust teams with students who have raised their hand and says, hey, I would love to be a part of a startup. Is this something that I can do? And we make these great matches here on campus so that you're able to do that and gain some really clear hands-on experience while you're here at Notre Dame. And it's in a risk-free environment. I would say both of these avenues for students is a risk-free environment. All you're really giving is of your time, and how much you want to put in it is exactly how much we're going to give back to you. So first, let's talk about the student who has an idea. The very first thing that students are able to do is submit their idea to us. Once you submit an idea to us, that comes to a portal and you're assigned what is called a startup coach. A startup coach is a grad or undergrad that we have trained through what we call our de-risking processes. So we're going to help you poke holes in that idea to see, do you really know who your customer is? Is this really a problem that needs to be solved? Who does this problem need to be solved for? And so these coaches will walk you through that and get you prepared to come to us and make a pitch. When we talk about pitching at the Idea Center, one of the great things to remember is that we take no equity in student ideas. Your idea is yours, free and clear. And so when you are afraid, well, who's going to steal my idea? Do I have to give back to the university? As a student, we are only here to help you as far as you would like to take that idea. Excuse me. Secondly, once you've submitted that idea, there's so many different avenues that you can take a part of. When we talk about competing in McCloskey, that is a year-round academic year long, I can't think of my words right now, competition that actually goes through the entire process of a pitch deck, a presentation, meeting with mentors, being evaluated by judges. When you go through that process, the very key things that you find out is that Notre Dame has a very robust network. You probably already know that if you're considering making a choice to come to Notre Dame. But what we have is this amazing network to help connect you with judges, mentors in any industry that you possibly can imagine. When you pitch an idea to us, you can ask for several different things. You can ask for advice. you can ask for connections, and you can ask for small amount of funding. Again, that funding is yours free and clear. We want to see how you are going to be able to take that idea and move it to the next steps. You can participate in McCloskey. You can go through several programs that we have baked in through the Idea Center, such as the Pre-Accelerator, which is a 6-week batch program for students. There's one in the fall and one in the spring where you're working on your idea as you're going through the process with other team members, with your startup coaches, and with advisors to really help take you to the next level. Those pre-accelerator days end in a demo day style pitch that could lead to extra follow-on funding opportunities. We also have an amazing program called Race to Revenue. Race to Revenue is an internship program where we actually pay you to stay here on campus to work on your idea to become investable ready over the summer. This will be our 3rd year of having this program. Our students have raised an amazing amount of funding for their ventures, and some are doing very successful as they continue on. Well, now I want to talk about the students that are looking for experience. I often say to students that when you're coming to Notre Dame, you're going to graduate with an amazing degree from Notre Dame that speaks well to employers. Anything that you want to pursue, you have that degree from Notre Dame. But what did you do while you were here? And this gives us the opportunity to help match you with your skills and expertise with startups, either led by students, alumni, or community members, so that you can help them move their idea forward. You can walk away and say, hey, my sophomore year, I helped with the marketing plan for XYZ startup. This is really great, tangible things that you can put on your resume so that you can say, I've had this amazing experience. Another great thing about that is those alumni and community teams. Those teams have to integrate current Notre Dame students as a part of their process for us to even work with them. So it's an added bonus for you to gain experience with alumni that are out there that may be serial entrepreneurs, alumni that have been out there in the industry for 40 years and come back and they're like, hey, I need you to help me launch this new idea that I have. Our community members, where our focus is pairing them up with students here on campus. We believe that it's a win-win situation, not only for the community and alumni, but for those students to work in those environments with these entrepreneurs as they go forward. Also, we are the biggest employer of interns on campus outside of food service. I always have to add that little bit because food service is a very large group of people. But we work really hard at training our students to have the ability to gain access to these incredible internships, that startup coach position that I talked about. We actually train our students to do that. So you can come with very little experience and we can really help give you the training needed to help other student entrepreneurs, which is one of the most exciting, I think, internships that we have. We also work with a lot of faculty startups, and what these other analyst positions are actually working with our faculty tech, helping those move forward, helping our staff work with those processes. So those are just startups within our own Ideal Center itself, not aside from all of the startups that are looking for interns here on campus. We actually also have a innovation lab on our first floor at the Ideal Center. If you didn't get a chance to come in the last couple admitted student days and got to come over to the Ideal Center and check out the innovation lab, you need to at least come by very soon, or definitely this summer, and check that out. Our innovation lab is open to all students. And what that is just an amazing collaborative space. We have the most technical 3D printers, laser printers, I can't even explain all of the technical things, laser cutters. They do work with wood, plastics. If you're a student who has an idea, you can actually sketch that on a napkin and bring it to one of our designers on staff, and they can mark that up in their program so that you can have a 3D rendering of what that might look like. So you don't have to have experience to know how to do this. We are here to help you move those ideas forward. Secondly, if you're a student that's working on a physical prototype, we have the ability to actually have students keep their physical prototypes at the Idea Center in their own personalized bay, so that you can, instead of dragging it back and forth across campus, you can leave that stuff there and work in that space. Our director, Matt Levy, is one of the most amazing members of our staff, who is just dying to work with our students and help them take their ideas and make it into a reality. One point on, David had mentioned the master's program. So we have a one-year master's program in science and entrepreneurship. We call it lovingly the STEAM program. So this current year, we have 55 students that are in there. We have 81% placement in 90 days. I think one of the most amazing resources that we have at the Ideal Center is that the STEAM program is actually housed within the center. So those students are working on their projects, their capstones, their own founder projects at the Ideal Center, mixed and commingled with all of the other students. So these are students who are shortly after undergrad, who may have gone and worked for a couple of years in industry and have come back to get their master's. So a lot of experience, and some of our brightest students we have here on campus, quite frankly. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about our Ideal Center Fellows program. Our Ideal Center Fellows program is a cohort-based program in which we are taking 25 students each academic year. So as David said, these are the best of the best. We get applicants from all over looking to come to Notre Dame because of what we have available to them at the Idea Center. What these students are embarking on is a 4-year pathway in which we really want to either accelerate their founder status or enhance any of those builder or if more of a thinker type skill set, but with that entrepreneurial mindset that we are looking for. We're looking for students that have hustle and grit. We're looking for students who want to become ambassadors for the Ideal Center itself and talk about talk to students across campus about the resources that is available for all students on campus through the Ideal Center. What the Ideal Center Fellows program is promising is some elite networking opportunities. They're getting a cohort-based learning structure and collaboration. We get to know these students intimately. We know what their desires are. We know what they want to do as a career, whether that's going down a founder route or being an entrepreneur within a company or another startup. We also have a pathway for their junior year to go down a VC style internship. And so the first 2 years of the program, we're really going to double down on some training skills for them as any entrepreneur would need, whether they were founding a project or if they were going to be, like I said, that entrepreneur. When I finish speaking, I will put the link in the chat for applying for this. We are actually interviewing currently right now. So we like to make those decisions by mid-May. So after you hear Jeannie and Alan talk about their experiences, if that's something that you're interested in, we do encourage you to apply for that. And then lastly, I just wanted to bring attention. So Alan and Jeannie, they are two of our freshmen Ideal Center fellows. So they're in the graduating class of 26. And they have had some amazing experiences thus far, just in their freshman year. So I wanted to bring them on to chat to you a little bit about that. And I will let you guys take it from there. Alan, you want to go first?
Yep, thanks, Patty. I guess what I can do is just talk about the best experiences I've had so far. And if anyone has any questions, just feel free to shoot them out. But yeah, so I submitted my idea in kind of September time. And like straight away, you'll get a startup coach. So my startup coach was an MBA. He had just come back from working at IBM. And like for a freshman, that's to get someone with that experience, basically advising your startup it was huge. With this Idea Center Fellows program too, it comes with priority like acceptance into some of the programs at the Idea Center. So one of the things I was able to do in the fall was the Pre-Accelerator program that Patty mentioned. So that's a 6-week program. I think it's an hour and a half to 2 hours, one night each week. And it's like you work with advisors, you work with kind of networking opportunities and things like that. But the big thing I'll mention from that was the week 5, which is always they bring in a VC. And I had the opportunity to pitch to probably the biggest VC in the Notre Dame community, which was like, it was unbelievable. And I'm still in regular contact with them today. So I'd say the networking opportunities and connections you make through the program is just unbelievable as well. If I keep going, then I guess around Christmas time, I started to build my own team. So the first guy on board was a connection through the Idea Center. And that was like an MBA candidate wanted to come onto my team. We met up, awesome guy. And I was like, yeah, definitely he's the guy for me. Yeah, we kept building the team. Like right now I've got 7. So we've got a marketing team and a tech team. And then the one thing I will highlight from the entire year, so I'm just back from Florida. I was competing at the ACC championship for entrepreneurship, basically. It was just unbelievable experience. Got to meet 14 other teams, just unbelievable people. So that was, yeah, we left on Friday, got back Sunday, and it was like on national TV. The whole thing, pretty much like a Shark Tank type event, which was just unbelievable as well. I guess I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but I probably am. But I'll pass over to Jeannie, and yeah, if you have any questions, just shoot me in the chat or anything.
Yeah, Alan, that was great. So I definitely took a little bit of a less quick route to my end. Alan hopped on it right away, but I definitely waited a little bit, sat with it. So I was really big in entrepreneurship in high school, and I had created some prototypes, some ideas back then. And I got to college and I was like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I kind of just put that idea to the side for a little bit. But out of somewhere, I got the inspiration. I brought the idea back. I put it through our Idea Center pipeline. And I'm what she was saying with, we have the lab where you can print things out. You can work with the designers there, and they can help you with the different like 3D models. So here I have a prototype. Here I have a prototype that they printed out just this last week for my product. So I have been working a lot with design, but they also have different connections in terms of like intellectual property. And so just this last week, I met with one of our IP lawyers at the Idea Center, and I'm finishing up my patent on this product. And so that is something that he was able to help me out with, advise me a little bit. So the different range of things at the Idea Center to help you out with your idea is absolutely mind-blowing. And so while some people come in already with an idea such as this, I also have another idea in the pipeline that I just kind of like thought of one day on campus. So that one is definitely much less along, and that's okay too. So I have one that's just conceptual. I'm just working on like some customer validation, asking people around, asking my friends, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Like, would you buy this? Would you participate in this? So any stage, any point in the conception of the idea is absolutely amazing. You just got to take that first step. And I waited so long for that first step. And that's something that I would tell anybody out there who has an idea, who's just sitting with it, to just take that step, because you won't regret it. 2 days ago, I shook hands with the CEO of Under Armour, who was here. That was affiliated with just something that Notre Dame brought on. That's crazy. My product is a sports product. I was able to talk to him. That for me was a crazy moment, and just so thankful. And so with networking, the Idea Center and Notre Dame, phenomenal. Mind blowing. Like the CEO of Under Armour, one of the largest sporting goods company in the world, and I was able to talk to him about my sporting goods product. I'm like still speechless about it, but yeah, the learning how to network and learning how to be able to communicate with people. It seems like very easy, but then you get thrown into a room with like a bunch of C-suite executives and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. But through the fellows program and skills that we've learned and different workshops that we've hosted, I've been able to know how I'm going to approach somebody, know what I'm going to say, know how to follow up with them later, know how to keep that relationship going, because I have this folder in my inbox, in my email, that's just like connections and like networking that I continue to stay up to date with. And sometimes just, even if you're not like asking something from them, just like, hey, like, how's it going? Just want to update you a little bit. So just the things that I've been able to do at the Idea Center and things that I've learned, I'm so glad that I'm part of this program.
Yeah, I might just hop back in there because I was going to touch on one of your points there as well. Like, even though I have, like, we just launched our website last week or 2 weeks ago, around that time. But yeah, as Jeannie said, you can have an idea at the same time as you already have one. Like I literally, just like Jeannie, I had an idea yesterday, and I'm probably gonna, I'm tempted to just go and start building that as well at the same time. But yeah, like, it doesn't have to be anything huge. You could have something small that you think would help, like, a small amount of people. But yeah, it's just the guys over there, especially in the innovation lab, they'll just help you build almost anything. Yeah, which is really cool.
Thank you so much, guys. David, do you like to do any closing remarks?
Well, I was going to ask Petty, should we we have a little bit of time for questions. I just wondered if people want to submit any questions into the chat or whatever. We'd love to take it if we got them.
Yep, I have the first question is if the Ideal Center is suitable for scientific researchers. Do you want to take that one, David?
Sure, absolutely. And it starts with, I mentioned briefly that we do a lot of work with faculty. And when I say faculty, oftentimes it could be the faculty member themselves, but faculty tend to work in teams of postdocs, PhD candidates, things like that. So you can imagine most of our work is with the College of Engineering and Science. That's where most of the activity would be in terms of commercializing any research. So absolutely, we're working with that kind of thing all the time, both faculty and students. And we have undergraduate students who might be doing research with a professor who then, just in conversations with that professor might say, hey, this particular product, could we commercialize it somehow? What could we do? Do you think we should get a patent and so forth? You heard Jeannie talking about, IP, intellectual property, and patenting things. So yes, the answer happens every day, all day. We see lots of pretty deep science. We also see things that are quite simple. When Alan and Jeannie were saying, an idea just popped into their head the other day, not every idea has to be super deep science and technical and so forth, but it really ranges across a wide variety of ideas. And so certainly a lot of those do include what I would call research heavy, kind of almost deep research heavy, deep tech. And we have every ability to handle those as well.
Thank you. As we're waiting for more questions to come in, David, can you share with us something, one of the neatest things that you have seen come out of the Idea Center, even if it's not something that actually was launched, but one of the coolest ideas from students?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one, Patty, because
I know.
there's been a lot of them. Well, we had, I guess, the Marissa story is always a great story, right,
Yes.
Patty? So we had an esteemed graduate student a couple of years ago. She went to Notre Dame undergrad. And she, unfortunately, when she was about, I think it was when she was in high school, she came down with some terrible sort of health issues involving her back. All of a sudden, she was pretty much immobilized. She literally couldn't walk. They took her to all kinds of places. She ended up at the Mayo Clinic. While she was there, as they were diagnosing her, she had studied neuroscience, so she was kept thinking, I feel like I shouldn't just be laying around doing nothing. And so she came up with this idea about how if you are immobilized, you need to get up on some kind of a walker, like an artificial structure that would give you kind of the ability to walk and move your legs to the extent that you can, put them in certain types of bracing and so forth. And because she'd been doing a lot of research that, for example, people with suffering diabetes, or even people that are coming out of, like, say, war injuries with amputations, that if you have a lower limb amputation, you get weighted, you essentially get fitted for your prosthetic, and you have to wait a while. And what they were finding is that by the time the wait can be so long that by the time you get your prosthetic, you can't really use it because you've lost essentially all of the ability to move your legs and the way the brain is connecting to the muscles and so forth. So Marissa decided, I basically have to invent some kind of almost like a mobile walker, which she literally started. Her first prototype was literally at the Mayo Clinic, going through the supply closet and getting tape, and she got nurses to help her, and she started literally coming up with a concept there. She took it to Notre Dame, she developed it, and in the end, she created a company called Enlightened Mobility, which essentially had a patent around this new gait trainer that she picked up. She got a couple of others. In fact, she got one of her esteemed classmates to join her. They raised some money. They went through the Idea Center de-risking process. And for those of you that have ever watched a Notre Dame home football game where you see these NBC commercials that say, what would you fight for? About 3 years ago, Marissa was highlighted in one of those commercials. So you can always go to the Notre Dame archives and see it for yourself, but it's a great story, very inspirational. Marissa had no concept that her idea would be this, but, like we find a lot of times, again, you find students that are really, really passionate about a problem, and it's usually a problem that they've either experienced themselves or maybe a family member. We've seen great projects and great companies being started with, for example, you might have a sister who's autistic, and so you see the strain and the stress and the hardship that might bring to your parents. And so we've had some cool ideas coming around in the field of autism, like what is an app that you could give a parent to connect with other people in the community who also have autistic children, and share resources and things like that. So it's usually, again, a problem that's personal to you, and in this case with Marissa, it was obviously quite personal to her. And the great part of that story is Marissa regained full use of her legs. This was something that sort of paralyzed her for the better part of a year, but she then took that experience and turned it into something now that's in a position to help literally thousands, if not maybe hundreds of thousands or 1 million people around the world with her invention and ultimately the commercialization of that product.
Great. Thanks, Dave. That's always one of my favorite stories also. We have another question. If you are a student in the College of Arts and Letters studying neuroscience and behavior, what is the process for earning a minor in innovation and entrepreneurship? So we have many students do the minor in innovation and entrepreneurship. We would highly encourage you to do that. If you have any entrepreneurial, innovative bones in your body, to go for the minor. The reason why I say this is that many of the resources and the steps that you would take if you had an idea and you wanted to move that idea forward is already baked into the curriculum for the minor. So many of those professors actually are doing their classes right here at the Idea Center with us. Some of their mandatory requirements are submitting an idea or competing in the McCloskey New Venture competition. You don't have to decide whether or not you cannot declare the minor until the spring semester of your freshman year. And so we have many students that are interested in tacking on that minor. And our director in Mendoza College of Business, his name is Sam Miller. He is actually the one that's in charge of the minor. So we could always connect you with him if you had any further specific questions about that.
If I could hop in there as well about that. So there are actually multiple different entrepreneurship minors at Notre Dame. So there is just the normal entrepreneurship minor through the Mendoza College of Business, like Patty was talking about. And originally I was in that one, but I felt that the social entrepreneurship and innovation minor that I'm now in kind of aligned more with what I wanted to get out of the minor on the more social aspect side of it. And that one is in the Polt School of Global Development. And you can definitely cross colleges on that. So I'm in Mendoza, I'm a business major, but I don't have to have all my minors in Mendoza. And same way that like you can get a minor in a different college as well. So if you're in arts and letters, you can still totally minor in social entrepreneurship and innovation with the Polte Center. Yeah.
Thank you, Jeannie. I appreciate that. So the other thing, as we're waiting for other questions that I wanted to make sure that I touched base on was that we have a festival coming up just next week. It is called Idea Week. It's kind of been shortened. We've had 2 years of pandemic. So coming out of the pandemic, we have a truncated Idea Week. That is one of the most exciting weeks in innovation and entrepreneurship on campus. I'm going to put the link in the chat too, so that if anybody is actually interested in participating in any of those events, I highly encourage you to do so. We bring in some amazing guest speakers, and our competition will be live streamed. So if you want to see what kind of ideas are coming out of Notre Dame, that's a great way to kind of get a sneak peek at what we're doing. We have some time for some more questions. If anybody wants to put it in their chat or in the Q&A, we can take care of that. David, do you have anything to add as we are closing up this session?
No, I was just going to say, Jeannie, I'm really glad you brought up the point about the minor. There's actually several minors in innovation entrepreneurship, a little bit more with a social focus over with the Pulte Institute, which actually I think sits inside the Keough College. That actually is the newest college by far at Notre Dame. It just opened up about 4 or 5 years ago. The Idea Center, I will say this, I know the Idea Center is with the innovation minor that is coming out of the business school. The Idea Center is very well linked to that in the sense that I know some of the courses are actually taught over in the Idea Center in the Innovation Park. The slide that Patty had up earlier talking about the Innovation Lab, again, with all this great ability for prototyping and making things. Some of the classes are actually held there. So students that are taking the minor in innovation and entrepreneurship that's offered through the business school, think of it almost like a 50-50 joint venture between the business school and the Idea Center. So a lot of the resources we have, again, within the Idea Center are kind of brought to bear in that minor. That's also one of the fastest growing minors on campus over the past number of years too. So we've seen the numbers really going up. And what's encouraging about it is there was a minor years ago, 4 or 5 years ago before the Idea Center, but pretty much everybody that was in it was in Mendoza. The Idea Center, again, I just want to stress this point, it's very multidisciplinary. So if you look at the numbers now, for example, of the people taking the minor, and I'm sure this will be true too in what Jeannie's doing with social entrepreneurship, but again, they're from every college. We have architecture represented, we have arts and letters, business, science, engineering. people, majoring in different things. So it's a great opportunity for you at Notre Dame to kind of get out of your sort of defined track, whether that's, you're studying finance as a major or mechanical engineering, and meet new people with different backgrounds and experiences. And, that's kind of the beauty and the magic of entrepreneurship, is when you put a lot of really, really talented people together who are different, who see the world differently, come from different experiences and backgrounds. And we like to think of it as just an incredible sort of melting pot and hub for activity on campus, because even as, amazing as Notre Dame is, sometimes you just, you're here, you're studying hard, you're kind of with your group of friends, mostly a lot of time that's kind of structured around the dorms, and you kind of can get into your routines and so forth. So a lot of the students who do participate in these minors, and actually even engaging with us at the Idea Center, it just gets you out of kind of the track that you sort of live every day, and just meeting new people and forming great friendships, and not to mention having a lot of fun with entrepreneurship and seeing your ideas kind of come to life. So just want to stress that point again, that this is a really, really new and exciting track. None of this existed 3 or 4 years ago. So you're looking at something that's kind of brand new at Notre Dame, and students seem to really be embracing it. And I think faculty and staff are embracing it as well too. So we're all excited about what we can do and the potential for that. So again, if you do come to Notre Dame, we'd love to meet you and hear more about your ideas and what problems you want to solve.
We have a few last questions here at the very end for Jeannie and Alan. We're looking for your favorite opportunity that the program has allowed you to be a part of.
Yeah, I'll go first. As I said earlier, I'm just back from Florida. Myself and Patty, and like my entire team was invited as well. We spent 3 full days down there, so it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in FSU for the ACC competition. What that kind of involved was like a dinner and a keynote presenter on the first night. So he was, a really cool entrepreneur. Came in to talk to us about his experience and advice for us. We then went to apparently the most famous university circus in the world or whatever. But yeah, it was really cool. I think we all enjoyed it. I certainly did. Then the Saturday, we did a couple tours of the FSU Entrepreneurship Center, so their equivalent of the Idea Center, to see that. The actual competition was the Saturday night for an hour or two. That was broadcast national TV, which was just kind of unbelievable for me, actually, because especially I'm from quite a small town, so to be on national TV in the US, who knows, and then so we flew back Sunday night, and back to class Monday. But it was it was an unbelievable experience. Another thing I'd add is the people we meet down there. About I think 60 student entrepreneurs. Most of them were juniors and seniors, and some were about to graduate and go into full-time on their startups. Just some amazing ideas, and I'm sure you'll see a lot of these ideas in the real world very soon. Keep an eye out, especially for Georgia Tech. Keep an eye out for that one. So that's my best experience so far.
Yeah, so Alan is doing absolutely amazing things with his idea. I would say my best experience was working with somebody else's idea. So for the McCloskey competition, as an Idea Center Fellow, we do participate in the competition as part of somebody's team or with our own idea every single year. And so my role was I was able to help on the marketing side, on the customer validation side of somebody else's startup company. And so that definitely gave me an insight into kind of how these startups, or even just taking any idea from A to Z, how that works, and things to be aware of, and things that I can learn that I can now apply to my startup, because I hope to be in the McCloskey competition next year. So definitely being able to see other people do it, but also be in it with them, and to be able to just provide whatever I can give to their team. So McCloskey definitely is what I would say.
Great. Thank you, Jeannie. One last question. I've got 2 seconds. Is there an example of the relationship between Ideal Center and the ND Career Center? So we do work very closely with them. We kind of refer students back and forth. I would say is the biggest collaboration that we do to make sure that students that go to the Career Center that are not yet aware of what we are doing at the Ideal Center can connect to be able to find careers in startups or certain industries that we might have a better insight into. So I really appreciate your guys' questions tonight. I'm glad for everybody that showed up. Again, please reach out to us. You can find our contact information on the website. I'd be happy to speak with anybody who has some further questions or just want any more clarification around any of the things that we talked about tonight. So definitely appreciate it. Thank you and have such a great night.